March 2009. What's going on in my life? Who the hell knows? Let's just get to the books. The first book that I read in March of 2009 was Crimson by Gord Rollo. Oh, look, it's a leisure book. The small town of Dunville is no stranger to fear. Evil has stalked its dark streets once before, 20 years ago, leaving in its wake a legacy of blood and madness. These days, no one in the town likes to talk about it much. Some folks deny it ever happened. But four boyhood friends are about to discover the truth, though no one will believe them. Their parents think they've been listening to too many scary stories. But what the boys have released from an icy well is no legend. It's very real indeed, and it will soon terrify Dunville to its very core. Unspeakable horror is running free, and the nightmares of the past are about to begin again. It's good stuff. It's Gord Rollo. It's a coming-of-age story. If I remember correctly, it's a vampire, but nice cover there. Haven't read it since 2009, so don't remember if it is actually a vampire. Another one that I should probably read again. Very, 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 very good. Crimson by Gord Rollo. Next up, we have Pickman's Motel by Mark McLaughlin. And this is, it was a Delirium Books hardcover chapbook, I think is what they called them. I still have a few. I used to have all of them. I only have a few right now. And this has 3 stories. They are all humorous Lovecraft pastiches. And I like Lovecraft stuff. I like humorous stuff. I like a good pastiche. So, a fun little book. Pickman's Motel, Mark McLaughlin. Or McLaughlin, however you pronounce that. Then we have Imprint by Patrick Lestuca, a.k.a. Nick Cutter. This is another one of those Delirium chapbooks that I no longer have. And this is, let me look, Sam Richard is our main character. And this is sort of about memory and reality. Sam Richard's wife is murdered. He knows who did it, and he wants revenge, but his memory is playing tricks on him, and so that's going to cause all sorts of problems. I thought that The Preserve was the only Patrick Lestuca I read, but apparently that's not the case. I've read Nick Cutter, but writing under the name Patrick Lestuca, I've read 2 of his other books. So Imprint, Patrick Lestuca. Then we have Play Dead by Michael A. Arnzen. And this book, our main character is Johnny. He's a gambler. He's on a hot streak. He goes to Vegas. And he loses everything. He ends up in a homeless shelter. And there's a card game going on in the homeless shelter. But you have to make your own cards. And the stakes are life and death. I like Michael Arnzen. I believe, if memory serves, and at my age it doesn't always serve, I think I have a rejection letter from Michael Arnzen. I don't remember where I submitted something long time ago, and got a rejection letter for whatever it was. And I had never put 2 and 2 together. I didn't know Michael Arnzen was was an author. Didn't pay attention really to the name on the rejection letter, but I still have it. And then I started reading Arnzen and happened to glance at the letter at one point and said, oh, it might not be Michael Arnzen, but it is an author that I've read. Anyway, Play Dead, Michael Arnzen. And a great cover, I think, on the book. Excuse me. Next up, the penultimate book. Very quick here this month. The penultimate book for March of 2009, Kill Whitey by Brian Keene. And this is just a trade hardcover. It's not signed or limited in any way. And very quick inside flap if we skip the little intro about Brian Keene. Larry Gibson longed for something different from his days as a dock worker and his lonely nights spent drinking with his friends. When Larry meets Sandra Belov, a beautiful exotic dancer, he finally gets some excitement in his life. Too much excitement. Now, Larry's friends are dying and he's on the run from the cops, the Russian mob, and a seemingly invincible madman. And if Larry wants to live another day, he'll have to figure out a way to kill Whitey. Kill Whitey. How do you kill someone who cannot die? I just recently read Exploring the Labyrinth by Kit Power, where he goes over his initial reading experiences of a bunch of Brian Keene books in order from publication. This is in there. And, excuse me, basically, Larry Gibson becomes obsessed with this exotic dancer in a bad way. And she tells him, I think, it's been a long time since I've read it, but she basically tells him, hey, I can be with you, but you got to kill Whitey. He's a mob boss. And having read the inside flap, I don't think it's a spoiler to say this is sort of a reverse Terminator, where instead of the unstoppable, unkillable thing is going after a normal person, we have a normal person trying to kill the unstoppable, unkillable being. Very entertaining. Brian Keene is great at writing blue-collar characters, and I learned that there are forklifts where you can electronically control the fork's horizontal movement. I did not know that. I've driven forklifts. I was a certified forklift driver at my last job. And, of course, obviously, the forks go up and down and they tilt backward and forward. I did not know there were forklifts where you could, from the seat with a control, move the forks in and out. I've always had to do that by hand. But I learned about it in Kill Whitey. Anyway, Kill Whitey by Brian Keene. The final book that I read in March of 2009 was Afraid by Jack Kilbourne, also known as J.A. Conrath. And this says, are you afraid of the dark? You will be. Welcome to Safe Haven, Wisconsin. Miles from everything with one road in and out. This peaceful town has never needed a full-time police force. Until now. A helicopter has crashed near Safe Haven and unleashed something horrifying. Now this merciless force is about to do what it does best. Isolate, terrorize, annihilate. As residents begin dying in a storm of gory violence, Safe Haven's only chance for survival will rest with an aging county sheriff, a firefighter, and a single mom. And each will have this harrowing thought. Maybe death hasn't come to their town by accident. I don't want to spoil this. So first of all, I thought it was fantastic. As I said, Jack Kilbourne is J.A. Conrath. And I believe he was using the Jack Kilbourne name to write darker material than he was writing as J.A. Conrath. I could be wrong about that. That's how I remember it. And this is very dark, and I do not want to reveal what that helicopter crash unleashed, but very, very much enjoyed this violent book, but well written, great characters. I'm a big fan of J.A. Conrath / Jack Kilbourne. So Afraid by Jack Kilbourne. That's the last thing I read in March of 2009. Right, question for the video is something that I did not think of ahead of time So let's go with favorite pseudonym. Um, so, what's your favorite pseudonym for an author? As I said, Jack Kilborn is J.A. Conrad. We even had, I didn't even think about this, the fact that we have Patrick Lestuca, who is Nick Cutter, who is actually, again, Craig Robinson. Of course, there's one of the most famous, Richard Bachman, is Stephen King. I think for me, and I am talking about an author choosing a pseudonym to perhaps publish something different than they normally do, or I had initially heard a long time ago that Stephen King published the Richard Bachman books because he was told he was putting out too much stuff. They didn't want the market flooded with Stephen King books, so he decided to put some out under the name Richard Bachman. I don't recall if that's been debunked. Dean Koontz published things under Lee Nichols. I think that was a case of Dean Koontz was known for one thing. He wanted to write something completely different. So they said, hey, Lee Nichols, use that name. Or he said, I'll use this name. Also, Owen West, used by, Dean Koontz. But this sort of name, not like someone ghostwriting. Like Andrew Niederman has written hundreds, I don't know how many books under the name V.C. Andrews, but he's ghostwriting V.C. Andrews books. So I'm not talking about that. I think Hunter Shea has ghostwritten a few, maybe even quite a few. But the thing is, they're not allowed to say. So unless they get outed somehow, like I do not know what Hunter Shea has written using or under a different name than Hunter Shea. I wish I did, because I would buy those books. But if I had to choose one, I think off the top of my head, since I didn't think about this ahead of time, I would go with Richard Stark. It's a pen name for Donald E. Westlake, and I swear I heard somewhere that Donald E. Westlake wasn't even his actual name. But Donald E. Westlake, mainly, I think, known for more light-hearted caper books. He did do some others, like The Axe is not a light-hearted caper book, but as Richard Stark writing the Parker books, hardcore crime novels. The main character is a thief, professional thief. There's lots of violence and definitely more serious than a lot of the Donald E. Westlake stuff. So for me, it would be Richard Stark. And again, I've heard that Stephen King took Richard for Richard Bachman from Richard Stark and used the name Stark for something too, but I don't recall what that was. But anyway, Joe Lansdale wrote a Western under another name. I do not remember what that name is. I don't have that book. So plenty of authors using pseudonyms. Do you have a favorite? Or is it even something you've ever even thought about? Let me know in the comments below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I'll have links for my Instagram and Blue Sky in the description below. And yeah, that's all I've got for you this week. So until next week, read more books.